Hello, welcome to the Lumen Stock Car Invitational, season number 2, race number 1, here at Oregon. And for the first time, did I say season 2? It's
I thought this
season
was
3.
season 3.
This is season 3, yes. I've already messed up. It's just taken a few seconds, but we're going to roll with it. This is a casual broadcast. For the first time here in season number 3, we are coming at you on YouTube. This is pre-recorded, probably posted on YouTube about 3 days after the race happened. So this was recorded on Friday rather, March 22nd. I am here with Darian Arnsdorf in the booth. He is our first official co-commentator, so how about that? Darian, this track is it's an interesting racetrack for sure. And you were here, I believe you were here for the amateur race yesterday. What do you expect from this kind of racing today?
I expect something similar to what we see at like Talladega or Daytona, to be quite honest. Very good pack racing throughout most of the field, but I would also not be surprised if we do see a couple cars start to pull away once the tires start to wear down. I've seen that a lot in the past at this track, and I would not be surprised if we see it more here today.
Let's take a rundown through your starting grid. Row number 1, the 27 of Oscar Duval is on pole. Alongside him is the 70 of Andrew Kreider. Row number 2 is the 16 of Corbin Taps, last year's Amateur Series champion, and the 41 of Karina Willis-Callaway. Row number 3, it's the 55 of Michael Harvin. His brother James Harvin was in the amateur race yesterday, and the 6 car of Holly Martin. Row number 4, it's an Amateur Series driver, the 2 car of Isabella Fitzmaurice, and the 11 car of Tim Berry. Then we have the 88 car of Joe Smith and the 62 of Vinnie Schulz. The 29 of JB Chanel alongside the 57 of Shauna Everett. The 01 car of George Bryan and the 99 of Akiya Tajima. We have the 65 of Jack Gino and the 32 of Randall Riff. Then it's the 3 car of Montana Sherman, the 58 car of Ryan Silva. 36 car of Ashley Blake and the 39 of Laken Herndon. And then it's the 79 of Kobe Hollenbeck, Rookie of the Year from last year, and the 81 of LaTanya Gray. A rookie in the field this year, the 77 of JT Boyd, and the 43 of Simon Lawrenson. I believe this is one of 5 races that he's planning on running this season. Then we have the 24 car of Cooper Spur, and last year's champion, after making an incredible 51-point comeback in the last 3 races, it's the 1 car of Jacob Lopez. Then you have the 8 car of Darren Walker and the 18 of Zach Dearman, the 33 of Cheryl Simmons. Nice seeing Double Eagle Racing in the field here today. They were an underdog team that impressed last year. They'll be running more races this year. Alongside them is the 92 of Kate Summers. Then it's the 66 of Tyler Landry, one of the faster drivers from last season, looking for some vengeance from last year after the title slipped away from him. Then the 85 car of Charlie McCarron, who won the Clash at Motegi 2 weeks ago. That race was not recorded, but she did win that race after a battle with, I want to say it was Jacob Lopez there as well. Another Rookie of the Year contender, 28 of Adrian Wheeler, and the 98 of Kevin DuPont. And rounding out the field is the 7 of Lori Jackson, who has had one heck of a week so far. In practice, her engine blew basically on her out lap, so they had to fix that. And now she's starting in the back with her teammate Adrian Wheeler. So checkered flag racing, not off to a good start. But you know what? We still have 66 laps of racing. They could definitely make their way up through the field. In fact, in the Amateur Series race, the last place starter, Nathan Buchanan, ended up winning the race. He went from 27th all the way to 1st. It's going to be a little harder, though, because there's 35 cars in this race. So it'll be a little bit harder for Lori Jackson with some of those guys in the back, but it can definitely be done. And just a reminder,
most definitely can.
Just a reminder, this is the first time that these Cup Series cars have been to Oregon. Last year, Simon Lawrenson won the Amateur Series race.
Yeah, sorry about speaking over you there, but
no, it's fine.
Your engines!
I also wanted to mention, like, we saw Buchanan finish first after starting last, but 3 of the bottom, the 3 drivers who started in the bottom 3, 25th, 26th, and 27th, all 3 of them finished in the top 5.
They did, yeah. So this is definitely a track where you can make up spots. It's just about like a pack race, a little bit more spread out than something like Daytona or Talladega, and there is a bit of pit strategy as well. But for the most part, you're going to see them clump together, especially on the first run. Well, the cars are rolling. Darian, are you going to pick who you think is going to win the race?
I am. I'm picking the number 8 of Darren Walker to take the win in the season opener this year.
He's starting deep in the field, but like we've mentioned, it's not too far-fetched to make up a lot of positions today. Green flag is in the air, and the Lumen Stock Car Invitational season number 3 is green. Coming out of turn number 4 to lead lap 1, Oscar Duval out in front in the number 27, but Corbin Taps and Karina Willis-Callaway are right on his bumper, but a good entry to the corner there for Duval, and that'll allow him to pull away a little bit. Taps, Rookie of the Year contender. He was so impressive in the Amateur Series, but was kind of lacking in his Cup starts last year. He's trying to make up for that here in his first full-time season as the 41 just sailed right by him. What a move that was for Karina Willis-Callaway.
Yeah, I would not be surprised going back to Taps. I would not be surprised at all if he goes on to win at least one race this year. He was so strong in the Amateur Series last year. It would honestly stun me if he couldn't pull through at least once this year.
And he's driving for a good team. McPicky Motorsports, one of the best teams in the field. I believe they were second in the constructor standings both in Season 1 and in Season 2. Speaking of McPicky Motorsports, here comes their new addition this season, Holly Martin. Drove the 77 for NH Motorsports the last couple years. Was unable to get to victory lane despite having good results. But now, with a new opportunity here, driving for McPicky Motorsports, and she's going to try and pass another NH Motorsports car to try and get the lead here on lap number 4. She gets to the inside of the 27, and Holly Martin looking to lead this lap here on lap number 4.
Yeah, she's going to have it. She's clear into turn number 1. Great move by Martin there. And now here comes Willis-Callaway looking to the inside of Duval for second place. Oh boy.
It's been frustrating for Karina Willis-Callaway. Season number 1, she was a championship contender. She looked like the car to beat at the halfway point, but ever since then, the luck has not been on her side. She's had the pace, especially last year, to win some of these races, but it just seems like nothing can go her way. But things are going her way so far as she gets to the inside of Martin. Martin goes way up the racetrack. That should help out Karina Willis-Callaway. In fact, while she's in the lead, let's go on to our Race to Stop Suicide onboard.
This big a lead on lap number 7, but you never know.
Thing about getting out to a big
very
lead,
quickly.
The thing about getting out to a big lead here is that doesn't always hold. If they get sorted out behind you, they can catch up to you fast, and we're starting to see Holly Martin try to eat back into that gap now that she's not battling with Oscar Duval or Corbin Taps or any of these guys. How about this? Isabella Fitzmaurice up in the top 5. She finished second at Talladega last year in the Cup Series. To Simon Lawrenson, who is another amateur series driver that is also in this race, the number 43. And there he is. He's actually not running too bad right now. He's running in the, I think, 18th position. No, 16th position for the 43. But yeah, it's nice to see Fitzmaurice. Looks like she has a bit of a knack for these kinds of races, especially in the Cup Series.
Yeah, she wasn't doing horrible yesterday in the Amateur Series race, but she just got into the wall. I don't know exactly what happened to her, but just caused her to fall back and ended up being one of the few cars allowed down, if I'm not mistaken.
She and Mercedes Washington got into it in turn number 2. They hit the wall, but there was no caution because they kept it straight. And here comes Holly Martin underneath the 41 of Karina Willis-Callaway, trying to get the lead back. This will be big for Holly Martin if she's able to come out with a victory this season. She is probably the best driver in the field that does not have a win. And Martin is back out in front. Meanwhile, further back, they're actually kind of spreading out faster than I expected. And you know, it is a little bit colder than it was yesterday. I'm wondering if that has something to do with it. As Duval gets shuffled back. There's the 3 car. Montana Sherman, 56 years young, oldest driver in the field, and he was a championship contender last year, so we know he's still got that spark. And he is just now getting into the top 5. Look out for this 3 car later in the race.
I don't think Montana's ever had a spark to lose. Like, I'm not saying that in a bad way, but he has always been consistently one of the best drivers in the field, no matter what it is. He's proven time and time again that he belongs in this field, even at 56 years old.
Taking a look at the back of the field, 99 of Kia Tajima trailing the field. There's a lot of Tajima fans out there that don't like to see that. There's your most popular driver, Kate Summers. So fan favorites not running too good. Charlie McCarron, who won the Clash at a kind of similar racetrack, Twin Ring Motegi. Well, I say similar. We added banking to it, so we kind of made it similar. But yeah, McCarron won the Clash, but she's not running too hot here today. Jacob Lopez, defending champion, also running towards the back. So some contenders are definitely running back here. Not having the best of days so far. But look at this, the top 2, Holly Martin, Karina Willis-Callaway, they pulled out ahead. Montana Sherman has made his way up to 3rd, and look at this. Oscar Duval found his teammate, JT Boyd, and now both the NH cars, they're trying to end a winless drought. They've never won a race before. They're the only multi-car team that has existed since the inaugural season that has never won a race before, and that's been the case for a very long time. Bringing on the rookie JT Boyd to try and bolster the roster. We'll see if they're able to do it here today. Both the cars are running pretty good early on, though.
They got a lot of funding in that team coming from Menards, so you know that they want to pull something off soon here. You got to think Menards is getting a little bit impatient, going 3 years without a win almost.
And it's not like the team has been running bad either. Well, Oscar Duval has had his struggles, but generally, speaking of struggling and Oscar Duval, he got washed up to the outside of the track. The cars got broken up, and now he's stuck on the outside lane. But like I was saying, generally, this team has actually been running solid and consistent. They just haven't won yet. Here's Joe Smith in the 88. And we've been hearing some retirement rumors about Joe Smith, but he said he wants to run a full season with his son, Billy Smith. He was not entered in this race. Billy's running, I believe, 10 to 11 races this season in a 3rd car for this team, Patriot Motorsports. Teammate to Montana Sherman. But yeah, these Patriot Motorsports cars, they're running pretty good too. But this might be the final full-time season for Joe Smith, so we'll have to keep an eye on him. But he did say, again, he said that he wants to run a full season with his son, and his son is still part-time this year, so he might come back next year, but I don't know. We'll see. Look at these top 3.
Yes, Sherman's now closing up on him. So now we're going to be a 3-car race for the lead as we come up on 49 laps to go here at Oregon.
I do want to point out, they're about 10 laps away from the first pit cycle. So that is something to keep in mind. The second pit cycle is also relatively close to the end of the race, especially if we get a caution at the right time. That could potentially cause a strategy race at the very end, whether it be fuel mileage or tires or what. But that's something to look out for later. Here's the 81 car, LaTanya Gray. LaTanya has been very boastful about this team, Hudson Motorsports Pace this year, running Fords instead of Dodges since Dodge departed. Oh boy, that was close there behind her. That is the 62 of Vinnie Scholes and the 2 of Isabella Fitzmaurice, but they kept it together. But yeah, LaTanya Gray very confident in the speed of this team this year, and she's running top 10, so she's off to a good start so far.
Yeah, LaTanya's always been an interesting case, I think, in this series. Always been one of the more boisterous drivers, I think, personality-wise. Never really had the success to show it, but she is definitely a good driver behind the wheel at 81.
She's a very solid, consistent driver. I wouldn't say she's like a championship contender yet, but she's won 2 races, and she's finished relatively high up in points the last couple of years, at least solid in points, so the talent's definitely there. She just hasn't had a breakout season yet, and that's maybe something to watch for this season. This top 3, though, they're continuing to keep this gap over everybody else. Holly Martin has paced the field for quite a bit now, with the 41 and 3 in tow, and it's interesting that Montana Sherman seemed to catch them all by himself, so we know that 3 car is very fast if he was able to pull that off.
Seems like he's faster in clean air because now he's up to the back of the 41. He isn't really gaining as much as he was.
Oh, look at this run. Look at this run the 41 has. Will she try for a move into turn 1? Not quite, but she's still peaking. We might see another pass for the lead here soon. Oh, but that was a good launch through turn number 2 for the 6 car. That'll keep at least some distance between Holly Martin and Karina Willis-Callaway. I wanted to shout out the 57 of Shauna Everett. This is a brand new race team, Blake Everett Motorsports, and there is so much drama about this team and how it's separated from checkered flag racing and all that there is not enough time for me to go over it. But just know, Shauna Everett, this is a very crucial year for her in that number 57, and it'll be interesting to see what she does this year. And there's the 29 of JB Chanot as well, up into the top 5. She had a good start last season. She won at Daytona, but she had a very bad second half of the year. She tumbled out of the top 15 in the standings. Definitely looking to try and get that early season magic again. Oh,
for the lead, here comes Callaway.
Karina Willis-Callaway to the inside of Holly Martin, and she's got it. Move the 41 back up to the front. And this is a driver.
Only about 4.5 laps from the pit cycle. This could be a very big move.
Oh boy, they're 3 wide. Shauna Everett's in the wall. Oh, look out. Oh, she almost hooked Joe Smith. That was really close. Great job by everybody to not wreck. That was a bit of a nail-biter moment right there. That was almost the first caution of the season. Uh-oh, don't do it, LaTanya. Oh, she thought about taking it 3 wide into turn 1, but she was smart. She just stayed behind the 27. So yeah, it might be relatively quiet up here, but back here there's still tons of jockeying for position going on. And you know, we're about to see the pit cycle here very soon, at least the first one. JT Boyd, look at that, he's caught up to this lead group now too. That's crucial for the pit cycle if he can stay with them and stay in their draft. And he could be a contender by the end of this thing.
I don't really know if it's better to pit early or pit late here at Oregon, because we saw in the amateurs race yesterday that a couple drivers pit early and they came out ahead of drivers who pit late.
Oh, here we go.
Some drivers who pit late. Oh, here they come.
Stay out an extra lap, but the top 3 are all going to pit. 57 is Shauna Everett coming in. You also got to watch out for this pit road entry. Corbin Taps is all the way up the racetrack, and I guess he's decided he's going to go. Looked a bit indecisive there, but there's sometimes our collisions trying to merge down to the bottom of the track, so that's also something to watch out for. But most of the field came in and pit that time. A lot of the Hondas stayed out an extra lap, so that's interesting. The 2 Diamond Motorsports cars, Ryan Silva and Jack Gino, the Season 1 champion Jack Gino, as well as a couple of Walker Brothers racing cars. And it looks like everyone else is going to pit this time by, including JT Boyd, who did go out and lead a lap, so I believe he is... Oh, looks like Barry and Dearman might have pitted the lap before and we didn't see it, but yeah. Karina Willis-Callaway out first in this group. And we'll have to watch this second group as well. Mostly Hondas, but there are a couple of other makes mixed in there as well. Motor Racing Ventures is not having a good day. Jacob Lopez, Michael Harmon running near the back. Their 3rd car, Rebecca Raymond, didn't even make the race, so not a good start for the defending champions. Boyd is out. Chanot is out. Fitzmaurice is out, and here they come, all filing back out. There goes the 41. You can see her up on the banking. Let's see where Boyd cycles out relative to the 41. I think he's going to get passed by Karina. Maybe.
You might try to hold him up. You might try to hold her up.
He is going to try and hold her up. He's staying in on the bottom. And JT Boyd might have just gotten the lead from that, but Karina's not done yet. Boyd's not fully up to speed. Here comes the 41 to the inside. But that was a good pit stop for the 77, whether he gets the lead out of this or not, because he'll cycle back to second, it looks like, and he'll have a chance to take the lead back. But he's hanging tough on that outside lane. He's not giving up yet.
Yeah, he came into the pits in fourth, coming out in second. Not bad at all for the 77 of Boyd.
Oh, look at this.
Everett's
Simon
up to fifth, Lawrenson.
Up to sixth. You know,
Great
he
pit
won
cycle.
the amateur race here last year. We'll have to keep an eye on him. He's very sneaky at these kinds of tracks. Of course, he also won a cup race at Talladega last year. Here comes Boyd back to the inside. Carino Willis-Callaway. Now, this is not Boyd's first cup start. He made a few cup starts last year. He was pretty solid in those. This is his first start in his first full-time season. Going out here and leading this early, showing the speed for NH Motorsports, you gotta feel good about JT Boyd here today. As we have the same top four as before, and this is what I was talking about. Staying in that draft of this top four is key through the pit cycle, because if you lose them, then you'll end up back here. And that's not saying that these guys can't catch up to them, especially if we get a caution or something, but it's a lot better to be up here than not. That's for sure.
Most definitely, and I feel really good about that 77 right now. Was able to pull off an overcut one lap later than the other bit of these top four, and he's got a lot of fresher tires now. I don't know if it's going to matter that much, but it is a thing to keep an eye on just in case.
Look at that. Right on the back bumper, the 77, Carino Willis-Callaway. They are all over each other. Look at this top three. It's basically a three-car tandem here. Oh, man, the 6 tried to make a move in front of the 41. The 41 shut the door, and here comes the 41 for the lead.
Unbelievable racing here right now.
That was a brilliant move by Carino Willis-Callaway. She led that lap by 3/1000ths of a second. Hey, you know what? This is basically older Atlanta, and, you know, we saw at Atlanta a 3/1000ths of a second finish. So, I guess it's fitting. But Carino Willis-Callaway back out in front. She definitely seems to be... I mean, these are definitely the 4 fastest cars out on the track right now. I'm not sure if her or Holly Martin would be considered the fastest, but they're definitely up there. Meanwhile, 2 seconds back, you have this group of 3 Fords, the 57 of Shauna Everett, the 81 of LaTanya Gray, and the 43 of Simon Lawrenson. We'll have to keep an eye on the ticker there and see if they try to catch up to these guys. And then we have this big mess back here. Tyler Landry, he snuck his way up here. Tim Berry running pretty well. Here's where Oscar Duvall ended up. And that is the 18 of Zach Dearman, who was a Diamond Motorsports driver last year, but swapped rides with Ryan Silva. And now he is driving for Hudson Motorsports. Berry is going to make the move on him. And here, there's the 33, Cheryl Simmons. We shouted out this team at the start of the show. And they're running pretty solid here with Isabella Fitzmaurice. So, and here's Lori Jackson. We mentioned she was having a tough weekend. She's up to 15th. So, you know what? It might not turn out all that bad for her. Here we go for the lead.
Sherman for the lead.
Montana Sherman, and I don't think he's led a lap yet this race. He's going to try and change that here. To the inside. A 2-time winner last year at Willow Springs in Michigan, a road course and a big, I guess, kind of super speedway, but not like a plate super speedway. Side by side, the Chevy going down to help the fellow Chevy. JT Boyd kind of falling off these 3 a little bit. That's something to keep an eye on. And those cars back there in this 3-car pack, we're catching them for a little bit until the 57 and 81 started going side by side. So we might see them in the mix here by the end of it if they're able to file it back out into a single file line. Oh, look at that. Sherman did not have a very good entry. These two are catching back up to him. Look at the run that Holly Martin has. To the inside. She doesn't have the help,
might be able to look for the lead.
Oh, she got the nose underneath. Even without the help, she slides up the track a little bit. And Holly Martin trying to get back to the lead. Great racing.
We are going to have another pit cycle, probably around lap 52 to 54 if I had to guess.
We will have a second pit cycle.
By no means over for the 77, 81, 57, or 43.
Absolutely not. And we do have this pack. You know, again, if we get a caution, that brings all of these other cars right back into it. Even the 55 of Michael Harvin back here. everybody's still on the lead lap. Everybody's still in the race. We've had no mechanical failures, no crashes. It's been a very clean race so far. And, you know, that's something you definitely like seeing as the 41 of Karina Willis-Callaway making another move for the lead. Holly Martin gets a run on the outside, but it looks like Karina Willis-Callaway should get her in turns 1 and 2. The outside lane is just not a place you want to be in these corners. And Karina's back to the lead.
Just unbelievably close racing here between the top three.
Well, these guys have filed out. They're using the draft of JT Boyd to try and get closer to these leaders. And look at that. They're down to 1.3 seconds. They were about 2 seconds back a few laps ago, so they might catch him. We'll see.
Oh, big bump draft coming. Here comes
Ollie
Martin for the lead in 1 and 2.
Back to the inside. These two have been the best cars so far. They've been swapping the lead back and forth all day, and it's not slowing down. Meanwhile,
Gray for fourth.
LaTonya Gray going for the 4th position on JT Boyd, using that slingshot to try and get past him. Here comes a bump from Shauna Everett if she's able to get there. Simon Lawrenson having some trouble keeping up with them, though. He wasn't quite able to utilize that draft as well as the other 2 Fords were. Here comes Montana Sherman to the inside. The 6 is going to get in the way. Sherman's not going to be able to make a move yet, but he might be setting up for one here soon. Here he comes into turn 3.
Now.
I didn't think it was going to be that soon, but there he goes. Straight to the lead. Montana Sherman in the 3.
Here comes the 81. Big run coming.
Here come these guys, and here we go. You know what? This is going to be a 6-car race here soon. They've caught him. They're in the draft of the 41. So the 81 of LaTonya Gray, the 77 JT Boyd, and the 57 of Shauna Everett are going to be in this race for the win. Maybe one of them can steal it here at the end. Martin trying to gain some ground on the 3 car. Everett going for 5th on Boyd. Boyd will drop down to 6th. I don't know what adjustments they made on that 77, but evidently the car hasn't really it hasn't been handling as well as it was earlier, so maybe just trying to hang in there right now.
It was handling great. It was going great on that short run, but now in the long run, being a bit of an issue, but it's going to be a short run to the finish. Only about
the 6 had the nose underneath the 3 of Sherman, but checked up in the middle of the corner, and Sherman's going to keep the lead. Two-thirds of the way through this race. We are about 8-ish laps away from the next pit cycle. Here comes LaTonya Gray. That is dangerously close to the quarter panel. Maybe trying a bit of side drafting action to try and get by Karina Willis-Callaway. It's going to work, though. She's going to get underneath. And we now have a
very smart move by Gray.
6-car lead pack.
Great move to get on the quarter panel, get right past, or actually not past her yet, still fighting for 3rd, side by side.
She's got it now. Move LaTonya up to 3rd. Boy, maybe if she might make true to her word right off the bat in the first race. Wouldn't that be something? Holly Martin closing back in on Montana Sherman. A great roll through the corner this time. Sherman was the one that checked up, and we might see the 6th car making a move on the front stretch here. Oh, is she going to try and do it? She didn't, actually. She stayed behind the 3.
Staying patient. The 81 now right behind her. Will LaTonya stay patient behind the 6 of Martin?
This is LaTonya Gray. She's not going to stay patient. Here she comes for 2nd. She's probably the least patient driver in the field, so that's not shocking. She wants to go straight to the lead. You know what? She might do it, though. Look at that. Look at that run she got off the corner. She might go straight to the lead. Look at this. Sherman up the track. LaTonya Gray to the lead. What a move.
Here comes Martin going to try and follow through.
Martin trying to take advantage of that.
19 laps to go.
Martin trying to take advantage. Trying to get to 2nd. Oh, here she comes. She's coming into the pits now.
That's kind of early. Only 20 laps.
She has a tire down.
Oh, no!
Heartbreak for Holly Martin. Unscheduled pit stop. You know what, though? It might not be that bad because we were about to cycle anyway. If she gets a caution, she can get back in this, but she'll definitely be a little bit off sequence. But, you know, all things considered, it could have been a lot worse. But still, you hate to see it for the 6 car. So now we have a
That is-
5-car lead pack, ending with
That is
JT Boyd.
unreal.
Here comes Sherman for the lead into turn number 1 on lap number 50. We'll see them pit here very soon. Again, that's why I think it might not be that bad for the 6 car. We'll see how this plays out. But Sherman is back out in front. And if you're looking at the numbers game here, we have 3 Fords, 1 Chevy, and 1 Toyota. So the Fords have definitely outnumbered them. But Sherman is the one in front. Look at this run Shauna Everett just got.
Oh my goodness.
She might make a move on LaTanya Gray. She's looking to the outside, though. That makes me think she just wants to stay behind the 81 and try and help her around.
She's still peeking outside. Maybe the 81's coming in?
And this would be a huge win for Blake Everett Racing if they're able to pull it off in their first ever start. Shauna Everett, you know, they built a big Pennzoil bell outside their race shop in North Carolina, and they said they're going to ring it every time this team wins. Imagine if the Pennzoil car does it right out the gate this season. Great roll through the corner for Sherman, but he's going to slide up the track a bit, and that'll allow these two to get a better run down the straightaway. But we got to see if they're going to pit this time. And it looks like they are.
Yes,
Top
they
3
will.
coming in.
Callaway.
Karina Willis Callaway and JT Boyd will stay out an extra lap. Let's see who else decides to pit here. Vinny Scholes in the 62, the 18 of Zach Dearman, the 11 of Tim Berry, and a few others. This will be a little bit more of a spread out cycle. We'll have a bit more variance in when they come in this time.
I think the 6 car is out of the race.
Oh, she is out of the race. The tire failure caused her to retire. And that stings. That stings for the 6 car. 41
Staying
in
on
the
another
pits.
lap.
77 still out there. The 2 and the 33. Isabella Fitzmaurice and Cheryl Simmons are still out there. JB Chanot, Corbin Taps, the 85, 65, 58, all those Hondas that we saw pit late last time. They're trying to pit late again. Oscar Duvall. I think he pit
Duvall's
earlier.
already come into the pits.
Yeah, he already pitted, I'm pretty sure. There's Everett leaving the pit lane. And look at how far ahead Sherman jumped. Oh my goodness, what a pit stop for the 3.
We'll see where the 81 comes out at.
The
Oh
81
wait,
still...
is there an issue on the 81? Long pit stop for the 81 of Gray. She's still in the pits.
Very slow pit stop for the 81. I'm not so... And JT Boyd, he stayed out earlier, but something's wrong with the 81 car. Was she caught
She
speeding?
might have got hit on the way in.
Maybe.
I don't know.
She could have made contact with another car. She could have maybe come into her pit box funny, and they're like towing her back. But that is a tough break for LaTanya Gray. Contenders falling left and right here at the start of this race. 3 wide right here. Uh-oh. They got to be careful here. Adrian Wheeler, Andrew Kreider, Oscar Duvall. That was close. They're still 3 wide. And here you see some of these last cars exiting the pit lane. We got to be careful here. Oh, Duvall's in the wall a little bit. They're going to make contact.
Whoa!
They have to check up because of the car. The 85 is coming back up the track. Oh my goodness gracious. Let's go back up front. Let's see who the leader is. I believe it's JT Boyd.
It's Boyd.
Look at that.
They had a
Boyd,
big
Callaway,
lead.
and Sherman. Lawrenson's in 4th. Fitzmaurice is in 5th. And with 10 laps to go, that's a pretty decent-sized lead. Can the 41 of Karina Willis-Callaway catch up? And that 81 is still in the pits. Something went wrong for LaTanya Gray. That is a tough break for the 81 team. She looked very fast in that second run.
She could have won the race.
She could have won the race, but instead, something goes awry on the pit stop. Ashley Blake.
I may be speaking a bit early, but that 77's looking good.
Yeah, JT Boyd
Was the last one to pit, so...
He was. Here we go, 9 laps to go. 57, Shauna Everett is in 6th. Dearman looking for a top 10, and after the rough season he had last year, this is definitely a welcome top 10, especially for Hudson Motorsports. Lori Jackson in the top 10, great rebound. She started dead last. She had all sorts of problems in practice. This is a great reroute for the checkered flag racing driver. Great underdog run again for Double Eagle Racing. And you know, if they keep finishing in the top 10, how much longer is it before we stop calling them underdogs? Because, like, they're fast week in and week out. And there you see the 81 finally leaving the pits. She is 4 laps down. That is rough. Very bad break for the 81 team.
That is just heartbreaking for LaTanya Gray.
Second place, and I can tell you what, JT Boyd he was pulling away from them, but I think they closed in this lap. Oh, they closed in a ton this lap. This isn't over yet. Here comes Sherman for second. This is not over yet. There's 7 laps for them to catch him, and they were eating into his lead a ton that last lap. Don't count out Lawrenson in the 43 either. Try and make a splash. That's two Connie Twins Motorsports cars up in the top 4. You know, their other car, Luana Connie, didn't make the race today, so all things considered, they still salvaged something pretty good. Albeit, I will mention, this car is set up by Streamline Racing, Andrew Kreider's team, but it's got Connie Motorsports decals on it, so that is something to keep in mind, but they're still teammates. It's just, it was built in a different race shop. Here we go. JT Boyd starting to pull back away.
Another quarter second.
NH Motorsports, they've been waiting for this moment for a long time. They're 5 laps away. He's pulled ahead once again. Can the 77 finally go to victory lane? And at this point, we're approaching the point of no return where no matter how many times I pace minus, a caution would end the race. Here comes Sherman. I think he's the biggest threat to JT Boyd right now. But Boyd is keeping a steady gap over the 3 car.
Who would have thought a rookie would come out to Oregon and win the season opener?
Who would have thought a rookie driving for a team that's never won before would come out and win the season opener? We were talking in terms of like rookies from last season. We were all talking about Corbin Taps. We were all talking about Adrian Wheeler, the top 2 drivers from the amateur series last year. Not much discussion about JT Boyd this season. He's going to try and prove to them that maybe they should have talked about him a little more. Meanwhile, here's a guy that we should be talking about a little more, Simon Lawrenson, going for a podium here in the number 43, trying to pass his teammate Karina Willis-Callaway. And Cheryl Simmons is up to 5th for the Double Eagle Racing Day. This is just the day for underdogs, apparently.
2 to go this time for JT Boyd.
JT Boyd has kept that gap steady over the last few laps. Almost a second now for JT Boyd. 2 laps to go.
I know I chose Darren Walker to win it at the start of a show, but I was very close to picking the 77. I know that's rich coming from me now with 2 to go, but man, I had faith in that guy from the start.
Darren Walker is in 18th right now, in case you were wondering. Here we go. Rounding turn number 4. White flag in the air. 1 lap to go for JT Boyd and NH Motorsports. He's opened the gap out to over a second. All he needs to do is run 1 more clean lap, and JT Boyd will stun the field here at Oregon. Down the backstretch he goes, cruising into turn number 3. Who would have thought it? JT Boyd and NH Motorsports, the winless drought for that team is finally going to come to an end today. JT Boyd wins the season opener at Oregon.
What a drive, what a win. Fantastic for that team and that driver.
Montana Sherman will finish 2nd. Simon Lawrenson will finish 3rd. Karina Willis-Callaway and Cheryl Simmons round out the top 5. What a win for JT Boyd. This is huge for both driver and team. I don't know how many starts he had last year, but I think it was somewhere in the 4 to 5 race ballpark, but either way, he's won very early. He's won before both Corbin Taps and Adrian Wheeler in the Cup Series, and you know, those were the 2 we were talking about all year, but JT Boyd flew under the radar, NH Motorsports flew under the radar. They came out swinging here this season to start off. Let's export the results. before the game crashes.
I could be.
I don't
I
think
could.
it'll crash, but you can't be. There's no such thing as being too safe.
I could be speaking early, but I'm gonna say it. JT Boyd, keep an eye out on him in these next few seasons. He could be one of the best drivers LSCI has ever seen.
We'll see, but it is only one race. We're only one race into the season, so we definitely got to keep an eye on him. Though this rookie class, there weren't as many rookies as there were last year, but this rookie class is still very strong, and already one of them has gotten to victory lane. Here is your full race standings right here. Shout out to some of these drivers here. Simon Lorison finishing in third. That is a huge, huge drive for him. One of limited starts here today. He didn't do so hot in the amateur race, but this definitely made up for it. Karina Willis-Callaway with a fourth place finish. Good job by Connie Motorsports. Despite one of their cars missing the race, the two that did make it, they both finished top 5. Cheryl Simmons and this 33 team, looks can be deceiving. I'm just saying, these cars, these Double Eagle racing cars, they don't look very fast, but once they're on the track, they really are. So we've seen this duo come up time and time again and take it to the bigger teams, finishing top 10 consistently. JB Chanot finishes 6th. Lori Jackson, despite all the issues that she's had, she ends up with a top 10. Shauna Everett, Blake Everett Racing gets a top 10 in their first run. Joe Smith with a solid 9th place finish. Vinny Scholes with a solid 10th place finish. And Isabella Fitzmaurice, Zach Dearman, Adrian Wheeler, they didn't finish in the top 10, but that's still pretty good days for all three of them. 11th, 12th, and 13th. Here's the bottom half of the standings. You see some of the guys that didn't so much have good runs. Jacob Lopez, the defending champion, finishes 30th today. LaTanya Gray, 5 laps down after whatever problem she had in the pits. And I didn't see what it was in the chat, so it might have been something weird, like some contact in the pits or something. And then Holly Martin, the only retiree from the race. These two cars were very fast, but both of them struck some bad luck late in the race. They're going to finish at the back of the pack. So that's a very rough break for them.
I feel like if those two don't retire, I don't think JT Boyd's a winner right now.
He definitely still could have won, but he would have had a lot more. He would have had a lot more competition, a lot more cars to fight off. That's for sure. But that doesn't mean he wouldn't have won because he was able to gap.
Yeah.
He was able to gap these guys at the very end, and I think it was that. Cycle that he had, that the overcut that he had to get the fresher tires. I think that's what made the difference for the 77 team. He was the very last one to come in, and he made use of those fresher tires. So
that strategy worked.
That was
one driver. One driver I have noticed up in the top 10, Vinny Scholes. I don't recall ever mentioning her today.
You mentioned her in passing a couple of times, but she wasn't really up front that much. But she snuck a top 10. That's a good run for Pacific Racing. The other two Pacific cars, 24th and 31st, so they struggled a bit. But Vinny, their lead driver, definitely got the most out of her car today. But let me just double check that I exported the results. It looks, I do remember doing that, but again, you can't be too safe. And there it is. Okay,